The next morning, the palace moved as if nothing had happened. Servants bustled, maids swept the courtyards, and the faint sound of zithers drifted from the entertainment halls. But Malmo knew the stillness from last night hadn't vanished. It had simply gone underground. The servants exchanged uneasy glances, the cooks moved faster than usual, and even the eunuchs seemed to shuffle slightly off-center. Everyone was pretending, just like her, to be unaffected by what had transpired in the dead of night. Her orders for the day were unusual. She was to deliver a tray of herbal infusions to the eastern wing, a part of the palace she rarely entered. Normally, delivering medicinal herbs was her task only when the emperor or one of the princes was ill. But today, the request came from Jinshi, and since his instructions were always direct, she knew he wouldn't tolerate any mistakes. As she walked through the empty corridor, the only sound was the rustle of her silk robes. At the end of the hall stood a single guard, his youthful face impassive behind a bronze mask. He checked her pass before letting her through. His eyes, however, didn't meet hers, and his grip on his spear was tighter than it should have been. Inside, the air was heavy. All the windows were shut, though normally they'd be flung open to catch the evening breeze. The scent of burning incense was cloying, and the curtains were drawn tight, no doubt to keep prying eyes away. On the bed lay a woman. From where Malmo stood, she couldn't see her face, but she could see enough. The woman's skin was unnaturally pale, her breathing shallow. Even before Malmo touched her, she could see the signs. The slight bluish tint at the lips, the weak pulse. Poison, not the kind meant to kill quickly, but the kind meant to linger. To send a message. Malmo set down the tray and got to work. She mixed the crushed herbs with water, trying not to think about the fact that whatever illness this was, it was already spreading through the palace like a rumor in the wind. Soon she had everything ready. A compress to cool the woman's forehead, a vial of diluted medicine for her to sip, and another stronger brew to be used only if the first one didn't work. Just as she was finishing, she caught movement in the corner of her eye, a shadow where there shouldn't be one. An old palace maid, perhaps, or one of the eunuchs detailed to watch the night, but when she turned, the figure was gone. Jingshi entered moments later. "Do what you can," he said, his voice unusually low. "But no records, understand?" It wasn't a request. Malmo nodded. She didn't ask who the woman was or why the incident was being buried. That wasn't her place, but deep down she knew. Every secret in the palace came with a price. And if she wasn't careful, one day she might be the one paying it. With Jinshi gone, Malmo turned back to the patient. She washed the woman's face, damp cloth, cool water, and then the medicine. Each action precise, economical, years of training kicking in. She knew poisons too well to be fooled. This one was subtle, but there was no antidote. The best she could do was alleviate the symptoms, pray the emperor's alchemist could do the rest. The woman stirred, coughed, and then looked at her, eyes wide and unseeing. "Who? I'm here to help you, my lady," Malmo replied gently, surprised the poison hadn't taken all of her senses. "You don't remember?" The woman shook her head, a faint wince crossing her face. "It doesn't matter. Rest now. You'll be fine." The woman closed her eyes again, leaving Malmo in the stifling room. The guard was still outside, she knew, as was Jinshi, waiting, watching. When she finally emerged from the room, her hands were shaking slightly. She had seen too much death, too much destruction in this palace. Once the novelty of the Forbidden City had worn off, all that remained was a sense of foreboding and a profound sadness. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Malmo made her way back to her chambers. The events of the evening replayed in her mind. Who was the woman? Why was she targeted? And most importantly, who was behind it and why? She had seen the fear in the old palace maid's eyes, the tension in the guard's stance, the grim set of Jinshi's jaw. The palace was a powder keg, and she an unsuspecting spark. Now, nestled safely in her quarters, she wondered if tomorrow, when the sun rose again, she would still be just a simple palace herbalist. Or would she be swept up in a maelstrom of deceit and danger?